What?
All right. So that was Kung Fu Heroes. Wow, that was like 18 minutes. Oh man, so let's talk about that for a little bit. You can go first. I got to change the stream title real quick.
Here. Uh, um,
What happened?
yeah, at first I was actually
Okay.
surprised that I was actually surprised that an NES game like this can like support two players like that at the same time.
Yeah, that's
It kind of
crazy.
feels like an advanced, like a little bit of an advanced NES game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like the whole vibe of it. I like the music. I like that there are different stages. That it's just like a brawler. Um, I'm just not really a fan of the difficulty, which you'll probably talk about. It's a little too hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's like hard to tell if your attacks are connecting to the enemies or not. So it's tough. You don't really
Yeah.
know what's working or what's not working against the enemies. Yeah, I don't know. It's not my top favorite NES games for sure.
Oh boy. Honestly,
Uh,
great. I don't have too much to add to that. You pretty much said most of the things I was gonna say. Real quick before I go into my thoughts though. Um, apparently, so I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but like usually when you input the game you're playing on Twitch, there's like a little they'll show like a little box art of the game, so it's like at demonstrating what you're actually playing, right? What's been happening a lot these last few weeks is I've been putting in NES games that are here on the service, but they don't even have their box art there. That's how obscure they were. Like so for Kung Fu Heroes, there was no box art. Like the title was available on the
oh no.
like the game title itself was available on the archives of Twitch, but there was no box art. But Shadow the Ninja, with the next game we're gonna be playing, did have a box art. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a hidden classic that we just never heard about. I don't know. But anyway, back to my
Maybe.
thoughts on Kung Fu Heroes. So this is an interesting game because excluding the difficulty, and this is one of those rare games. Like I'll go into detail in a second, but it's one of those rare games that I think this is the only game in this case that I think fits into this bill where I don't think it holds up, but it's not because the game itself is inherently bad. Like there wasn't too many flaws with the game. Like you said, the head detection was a little wonky because of how it looked. The difficulty was really high, though. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It is. It's definitely bad that it sends you all the way back to round one if you lose. That
Yeah,
alone,
it's unforgiving.
yeah, it's very unforgiving. Which like you could mitigate that today with the suspend points. That's fine, but like for the game for like base design to like always send you to the back if you die, that's brutal. That's really brutal.
Yeah.
And you know we experimented with that. It's like, oh well, maybe if we get to World Two, maybe we'll start from World Two because a lot of any other NES games fell into that category. Where if you didn't get far enough, you'll go all the way back to the beginning of the game. But if you did get far enough, you'll go back to like start of World Two. Even Mario Brothers 3 was like that, for example. But
Yeah.
no, this game die back to the start with you. Sorry. Yeah, so the difficulty is a little high. But other than that, it's I wouldn't say it's an inherently terrible game. I was playing that game, and the thought that was going through my head during most of that was like, wow, this must have been a really fun game to play when you were playing it back on the NES. And I was just going through it now, and this is not a game I would go back to. Again, it has nothing to do like the game itself. I just feel like it's too dated. This game is like there's a lot of NES games that are obviously old but are still fun to play, and I would go back to them despite the fact that they aged. This one has aged a little bit too far down for me, and it's weird to say, but like yeah, this game doesn't hold up purely for the fact that I think it's an NES game with that was a bit archaic design, and I'm surprised that those words are coming out of my mouth because I played so many NES games at this point, like that are like, yeah, this is old, but it's still fine because this, and that, but it's not so great because this and that. This one is like, no, dude, I'm just coming out of this game. It's like, no, this game's old. I don't like it. Like,
Yeah, I feel like if I was a kid, I feel like if I had this game as a kid, like you were saying, I would have been into it probably.
yeah,
If I was like a child, like I could see myself playing this over and over and over again to try to finish it. Because like you said, it's not a bad game. It's just like
yeah,
it's dated. It doesn't have like that. Like it's not like the original Super Mario Brothers, where it's like that game. It always feels good when you play it. It doesn't matter
exactly,
like
exactly.
how far along it's been, because it just has like a simple gameplay design, and it still feels really good and satisfying. This game doesn't really feel satisfying or like it's just not that fun.
Yeah, it's very
At
much
least,
for better or worse. It's very much a game of its time. Like again, we can totally compliment what it does right. Like I like the fact that it has those warps and whatnot. And I do like that you have the two players simultaneously. That as we both mentioned, a lot of NES games just didn't do that. So I can definitely compliment what the game does. And yeah, it's just old, man. And it's I feel really bad saying that because up to this point I really have like looked at the pros and cons of the NES game, but of each one I played. But this one I just it just wasn't clicking.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder. You know what? For everyone watching this, if whether it's live stream or on their YouTube VOD, I would highly recommend giving this game a go yourself if you thought the gameplay looked interesting. Because I'd be interested in like having like this is one game in particular that I think I would actually value like someone else's opinion to see if they were clicking with this game because like it for us it just wasn't doing it. But that's my thoughts. Kung Fu Heroes, not a bad game, but I don't think it holds up. Well then, in that case, we're gonna move on to